good afternoon, everybody. Welcome into the channel. Today is Monday, a new week. It is June 21st, 2021, and huge news out of the NCAA today. The NCAA, they are changing the stance on student athletes being compensated. Now, the problem is a lot of people are going to see this news story and want to click on it. The crazy story is that, yes, it is stopping the long-time practice of student athletes not being allowed to be compensated, but they're still putting restrictions on how, why, and for what reasons they can be compensated. And essentially somebody put out a quote that there isn't going to necessarily be a no Lamborghini rule as opposed to just getting paid for what they do in the school and for the school. So let me give you a little backstory if you're not familiar on this. In the NCAA, that's college, NCAA Division I, Division anything, technically student athletes are not allowed to be paid for basically anything, right? They can't take cash, gifts, houses, cars, you name it. And here's the thing. A lot of professional sports teams and agents, especially when a player, like take a LeBron James, when they were back in high school or college, when they realized they were going to be a star, they would start wanting them to come into certain, like, hey, we want you to play for Tennessee. We want you to do this. We want you to do that. And even colleges were guilty of this. Like, we want you to come to the University of Alabama or University of Maryland or whatever. And they would try to say, well, we can't pay you. We can't give you $10,000, but we'll pay your mom's car loan off that she owes 20 grand on, or whatever, right? This is not allowed. It's a huge no-no. It could end up in you being suspended, losing your scholarship. It could end up in if your team wins a national championship, having to give up your national championship, your Heisman Trophy. This happened to Reggie Bush. Apparently, he was given houses and cars and different things. Of course, Reggie Bush, with USC and won a Heisman Trophy and was a big star in the NFL, etc. So the thing about it is, college students, they didn't argue about that so much as the other side to the business. And so you and I may be familiar with a video game, NCAA 2021. Well, those college athletes that appear in the video game or TV commercials or whatever, that's generating tons and tons of money for the colleges. Not to mention all of the ticket sales and the season tickets and the suite holders. College football in the South, in Texas, in Alabama, South Carolina, Georgia, Auburn, these are huge billion-dollar businesses, and these student athletes are responsible for all that money coming in from the donors, from the alumni, from all these people, right? And so their argument has always been, and always will be, why are we not being compensated? We are adults. We're 19, 20, 21 years old. We're playing college football, but we're not allowed to make money. Like, why can't we make money? We're generating money for all of you guys. Instead of us having a job at Walmart or McDonald's or wherever, like, our job is to play basketball for the University of North Carolina. Why can't we get paid off of some of the money that UNC is producing? Why not? And so I tend to agree with them. Now, part of the reason that they said they couldn't do that is because it would be, unfair, because some of these colleges, the more popular colleges, Duke and UNC and Auburn and LSU, these colleges produce millions and millions and millions of dollars. And then you've got some other colleges like maybe Florida Gulf Coast that no one's heard of, as opposed to the University of Florida or FSU or Miami. You got little teeny tiny Florida Gulf Coast who can't produce that kind of money and couldn't dream of paying, those kind of dollars for the better talent to come there. And so that's always been the thing. More money, obviously, they would get them. So let's jump over to the story. I'm going to show it to you guys. But what do you think about the NCAA deciding to circumstantially pay their student athletes? Do you think student athletes should be allowed to make a living off of jersey sales, video game sales, ticket sales, just like the pros do, to a point, of course, or maybe even share the money, throughout the sports programs through these colleges? Let's take a look at the story. Let me show you what the restrictions are going to be, and then you can comment down below and let me know what you think about that. Let's check it out. All right, so here we go. The NCAA indicates Supreme Court ruling won't be the end of legal maneuvering in the Alston case. So this was published today at 4:34 p.m. NCAA President Mark Emmert and the association's lawyers indicated that Monday's Supreme Court ruling in the Alston antitrust case will not be the end of their legal maneuvering in the matter. So in an interview with USA Today Sports, hours after Justice Neil M. Gorsuch's opinion for a unanimous court that unanimously decided this, They said the association and its 11 major conference co-defendants will return to U.S. District Judge Claudia Wilkin for clarification in the injunction that was affirmed on Monday. Okay? So if we go back, basically you can read through this, but let's read the original ruling here from ESPN. And it says, the Supreme Court for the United States unanimously affirmed a ruling Monday that provides for the incremental increase in how college athletes can be compensated, and it also opens the door for future legal challenges that could deal a much more significant blow to the NCAA's current business model. Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote the court's opinion, which upheld a district court judge's decision that the NCAA was violating antitrust law by placing limits on the education-related benefits that schools can provide to athletes. The decision allows schools to provide their athletes with unlimited compensation as long as it is in some way connected to their education. Now, Gorsuch wrote that the nation's highest court limited the scope of its decision on those education-related benefits rather than delving further into questions about the association's business model. Justice Brett Kavanaugh published a concurring opinion that takes a harder line, suggesting that the NCAA's rules that restrict any type of compensation, including direct payment for athletic accomplishments, might no longer hold up well in future antitrust challenges. In other words, Kavanaugh is saying they should be able to get compensated in any way, not just for athletic or for educational purposes. Now, I don't understand. So this is where I'm having, kind of problems with it. You're going to allow them to get paid for educational accomplishments, like, oh, you got a 4.0 GPA. So what about, all the other kids that aren't athletes that get 4.0s? I just don't understand it. These athletes want to be paid because of what it is they do on the field or the court. That's what it comes down to. But this might be because it was step one. I could be wrong. The NCAA is not above the law, Kavanaugh wrote. The NCAA couches its arguments for not paying student athletes in innocuous labels, but the labels cannot disguise the reality. The NCAA's business model would be flatly illegal in almost any other industry in America. I think he's right. You have to pay these kids. They're adults. They're doing something that's earning money. They should be allowed to be paid. The idea that college athletes should not be paid, a fundamental tenet of the 115-year-old NCAA, has faced increasing scrutiny in recent years. Federal antitrust lawsuits have slowly eroded strict amateurism rules during the past decade. Politicians in 19 states, including my home state here in Florida, have passed laws in the past 2 years that rebuke the organization's rules and will soon allow athletes to start making money from third-party endorsements, and members of Congress are currently debating at least a half a dozen bills aimed at reforming the NCAA. Monday's ruling in the NCAA versus Austin case represents another blow during a particularly uncertain time for the future of amateurism. Let me tell you guys something, okay? These athletes are 19, 20, 21 years old, and Gatorade calls them and says, look, we want you to do a commercial, we'll give you $100,000. As of right now, they're not allowed to do that. They're not allowed to take the deal because of these rules. And it's just flat wrong. It's flat wrong. And he's right. It would be illegal in most states, in most industries. Thank you, Florida and Governor DeSantis. We have the best governor for doing this. Now, here's the thing. When you talk about these colleges, we know that they are making billions of dollars. And that just tells me, these coaches are getting astronomical paychecks, NFL level paychecks, some of them $5, $6, $7 million. You've got guys, living in suites and taking boating trips. This is a whole bunch of college people who figured out we don't got to pay the people generating the money for us, and we can get rich and screw all of them. And that's what happened. And it's crazy, right? Tremendous win at 9-0. Lead plaintiff attorney Jeffrey Kessler told ESPN Monday morning. Hopefully it will be the major next step on the road to a true, fair, competitive system for these athletes. The Austin ruling marks the first time in more than 30 years that the Supreme Court has weighed in on the governance of college sports. In 1985, the court upheld a ruling in the NCAA versus Board of Regents of Oklahoma University case that the NCAA was breaking antitrust laws by limiting the amount of times that individual schools could appear on television. So there you go. Again, about money, media rights, and revenue. Despite ruling against the NCAA in 1985, the court's opinion in that case, written by Justice John Paul Stevens, said the association should still be given ample latitude to make rules that it feels are best suited to preserve amateurism and the educational benefits that come with it. So in other words, they're saying they should be focused on their schooling. But look, it's just the reality of the world. These kids are basketball players. They're football players. That's what they're out to do. They're not out to get a college education. Some of them like to fall back on that. Most of them are out there trying to turn pro to get paid millions of dollars. It's just the way it goes, right? And so you can basically just scroll down and read the rest of this. But it is, just stunning, honestly. I can't believe it's happening, but thank God it is. All the restaurants in a region cannot come together to cut cooks' wages on the theory that customers prefer to eat food from low-paid cooks. Law firms cannot conspire to cabin lawyers' salaries in the name of providing legal services out of the love of law, and hospitals cannot agree to cap nurses' income to create a pure form of helping the sick. News organizations cannot join forces to curtail paid reporters to preserve a tradition of public-minded journalism. Movie studios cannot collude to slash benefits to camera crews to rekindle the spirit of amateurism in Hollywood. Price-fixing labor is price-fixing labor. If you don't understand that, go ahead and Google it up. But basically, college football and the teams and everything realized they had cash cows and millions of dollars coming in, and that they were just going to make this rule that you couldn't get paid, you couldn't do deals, and they were going to keep all the money. It's as cut and dry as that. Just nobody's got the balls enough to say it. So anyways, you can scroll down and read the rest of that. But that's huge news. Huge news. Supreme Court unanimously deciding that former college players in the dispute with the NCAA about competition were right and that they should be allowed to get paid. So we will see how this goes. I will keep us up to date. I'll do updated videos on this. But man, big time. What do you think about that? Should they be getting paid? Should they be allowed to take endorsements, advertisements, commercials? Should they be allowed to get paid for video games or Gatorade? What do you think about all this down in the comment section? I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. As always, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I know I saw a few of you guys subscribe yesterday, so thank you so much. I appreciate that. And do like this video so it gets better jump in the algorithm. As always, have a wonderful rest of your June 21st, and I will see you guys again tomorrow.